everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Let's Play the Innsmouth case. Much like the old Choose Your Own Adventure books, when you die, this game allows you to go back to the old chapters. It's like having your thumb in your previous page when you've chosen where you need to go. As such, we've been able to kill the character twice, as you'll see. And I am still struggling to figure out the proper path that I need to take as far as my interactions with people to solve the case of the missing girl. It's going to be an experiment, and it's so far been fun trying. So what do you say? Let's play. You transition fluidly into your dreams. Welcome back, everybody. We're playing Innsmouth case. You've only just closed your eyes and you're already somewhere else. Suddenly, your worries are very different. You're running in a desolate gray maze of winding alleys. You can hear the tearful laughter of a small child. If only you could catch up, you could save the child and take them home to safety. You sprint down the path and turn around the corner, then around another. The alleyway stretches out in front of you, but there's no person to be seen anywhere. What was that? Hold up, I need my drink. Was that a shadow of the corner street back there? A silhouetted figure? Realize that someone is following you. Look over your shoulder. You cast a hasty glance over your shoulder and you see them out of the corner of your eye. Shadows. They have repugnant bodies. You can't really put it any different. You catch a glimpse of oily skin, swollen boils, and even tentacles. But nothing stays in one place. Everything seems to be constantly moving around. A body in metamorphosis. Patches of skin tear open and close again, and with awful smacking sounds. You briefly catch a glimpse of the thing that was following you silently. You know that you've already seen more than you should have. That short glance was more than enough. No human being can stand looking at this creature without completely losing their mind. It's right behind you. The figure in the distance has already disappeared behind the next corner. Maybe you can still catch up with it. The alleys wind through the town in confusing ways. Nothing makes sense anymore. Wherever you move, you never arrive in the place you expect to. It feels as if, slowly but surely, you're walking right into the jaws of a massive monster. All of a sudden, walls close in on you and the path becomes so narrow that you have to walk sideways in order to fit through. Whatever's behind you is getting closer. There's not much time left. Squeeze through. Keep going. You squeeze yourself further along the narrow pathway. The walls are now so close that they start to tug and scrape it in your clothes. The back of your hands start to burn because you keep scraping them on the surprisingly sharp edges of the rough bricks. Carefully, but swiftly, you walk along the alleyway. Almost seems to you as if the walls were built so that your body and your body alone could pass through it. A stencil. You are the shape. Keep going. Already the path had been dark and poorly lit and you couldn't see more than a few meters ahead. But now it seems as if the deepest, darkest night has fallen. Your fingertips continue to glide over the rough wall inch by inch. You work your way forward. Something is definitely not right here. The alley you wanted to cross is no longer an alley. The wall all but clings to your body. Every inch of the wall now presses your body in close. Just as if the alley has been waiting for you and you alone to enter it. Although you can no longer move freely, you appear to be moving forward. Are you still dreaming? You keep going. By now you've forgotten why you started walking in the first place. The stone walls appear to be crawling into your skin. Yet, you feel sheltered and safe. It has always been your destiny to be here in this place right now. Final destination, at last. You never wake up again. Nightmare. You die in your sleep. Sweet dreams. Well, that's not how I expected that to happen. So, load chapter. Your fingers gently stroke the banknotes inside your coat and you leave your apartment at dawn. Only over your dead body will you waste this money for actual expenses. You never had good experiences with public transportation, so you decide to give hitchhiking a go. At this time, you usually still roll around in bed, restless for another 2 hours or so. So it looks like we've gone back to the 22nd and we took the decision to hitchhike instead. We're at a park and ride area, which is located at an intersection of two country roads. This is where students and low-income earners meet to share their fuel costs for a long trip, and you often see nomads and vagabonds trying to catch a free ride. You're confident you won't be put in the last category, at least not today. Low clouds hang in the Boston sky and the air is gray, cold, and wet, and the progress of your mission depends on the clarity and compassion of strangers. Your mood is optimistic. You've got a good feeling about this. The secret is to make a good impression, so as not to scare away any potential opportunities. It's best to hide your true character until you're in the car. Yeah, that doesn't make you sound like a serial killer at all. This is definitely going to work. You confidently say out loud. People close to you give you some worried looks. A little girl whose family just parked their fully loaded van points wordlessly at you. Her mother takes note of you and turns up her mouth. Look, Mom, a poor person. The little one finally delivers her verdict cheerfully. I'm not wrong. Or, that's really an exaggeration of the facts, and on top of that, rude. We're just gonna ignore her because we're not gonna beat up a kid. Kids do not understand the complexity of adult life. The sacrifices one has to make for an exciting life as a not very successful private detective. Soon, the child loses interest in you and runs back to her parents. It's time to consider the options. Three other hitchhikers have positioned themselves at the exit of the parking lot. A student couple and a punk with a towel wrapped around his shoulders. Every now and then a car stops and the driver wants in the windshield to have a few words with them. You join them. These people seem to be experienced hitchhikers and maybe you can learn from them. Hey, you call out to the people hesitantly waving your hand. Hey, says one. Hey, says the other. There you go. Where are you headed? He asks the others. The young couple exchange insecure looks. Springfield? The woman mumbles about without looking you in the eye. The two are probably not prepared for conversations with other travelers. The punk ignores you. He has already flagged down a car and is talking to its driver. He disappears into the passenger door. Stand at the edge of the exit parking lot and stick your thumb out like a hitchhiker. Just act normal, throw yourself into a provocative pose. We're going to stick our thumb out. You decide to just stand there harmlessly with your briefcase in your side, or by your side, and point your thumb towards the exit. Classic hitchhiker style. When you're already starting to ask yourself whether you look like someone who works for the tax man or like some sort of hitman, a car comes up to stop next to you. You get goosebumps. All of a sudden, your mouth is completely dry. It's a wood-paneled station wagon. The window is rolled down and a hand appears. You can see the driver in the dark of the car. Hand beckons you over. You approach this car and start talking. Hello, I'm on my way to Innsmouth. Middle-aged man with thinning hair, horn-rimmed glasses, and a mustache leans out the window. In front of your mind's eye, you go straight to the signs of a serial killer checklist. One of his pupils seems to be wandering off to the left while the other one is fixated on you. His hand now moves over his steering wheel as if to stroke it. Hey buddy, you might want to get that prescription for your lenses checked. It's obviously not helping with your astigmatism. You can with me, he whispers. Yeah. Thank you. You ignore all the warning signs known from movies and television to get in the station wagon with a queasy feeling. Is this really better than the bus? Walk around the car and its owner opens the passenger door. When you drop into the seat, you notice a weird smell. That must be detergent, at least it's the proper hygiene. An alarm goes off in your reptile brain. Hank. The driver mumbles and steps on the gas pedal. With a jerk, the car starts moving forward. The back of your head is abruptly pressed into the headrest. You think about what to say. What brings you to Innsmouth? You say to lighten up the strange mood in the car. The man licks his lips for answering. Special business. He turns to you now and seems to ignore the road in front of him. Innsmouth is interesting because not too many questions are asked there. It's a bit like a black hole, you know. And some people, well, the town just swallows them up. The alarm goes off in the back of your mind. Black hole? What a strange description for a remote seaside town. A black hole, you ask? Yes, the man mumbles thoughtfully. I'm an astronomer, you know. For a moment he turns to you and you notice how his left pupil keeps wandering to the side of his eye, only to snap back shortly after. That's not disturbing at all. This regular pattern has almost hypnotic effect on you. Laugh and nod politely. You say mechanically. What's so funny about that? Hank asks so quietly his voice almost blends in with the noise of the car. I honestly don't know. You're trying to stay very calm, and when you speak, trying to convince yourself that you're not actually sharing a car with a disturbed serial killer. Hank's thumb tenderly caresses the steering wheel. When the car slows down, the countryside was just passing you. Now comes to a standstill. The car stops a few meters off the road, next to a bare field. I think you should get out, he whispers. You feel like you've been hit in the head. What are you talking about? Hank clears his throat quietly. Don't hold it against me, but I think you are a little scary. You're not exactly what I imagined when I picked you up. What am I supposed to do now? We're in the middle of nowhere. I think this is just a huge misunderstanding. You're clinging to the passenger door with its window half down. Please, I can change, you beg. But looking directly at you, Hank leans over and winds up the passenger window. At the last moment, you pull your fingers back just before they get trapped in the glass. The car slowly returns to the road and steadily gains speed. Bye, you call out after him as if it just went down. It happened to him by mutual agreement. A rough wind whips into your face. It's strong and feels almost as if an invisible hand is pushing you back to the direction you came from. All by yourself, you stand there by the side of the country road. We're going to continue on foot. You check your phone and your hope of just ordering a taxi for the rest of the way is immediately dampened. No reception. You said you continue on foot in the hope that someone will pick you up along the way. The field right by the road turns out to be the perfect hiking trail towards Innsmouth. At least you assume Hank hasn't lied to you. It is to be expected in your current situation, but you feel incredibly alone. No one seems to be leaving Innsmouth, and no one seems to want to travel there, apart from you. A flock of birds form gigantic, ever-changing constellations on the horizon. They seem to you like waves. Sorry, I had a message from the school. A flock of birds form gigantic, ever-changing constellations on the horizon. They seem to you like waves pouring over the landscape. only to rise again in the last moment. It's actually a really beautiful way to describe that. These repeating patterns remind you of those kaleidoscopes you liked to look at as a child. You can't see the end of the road or any kind of landmark in the landscape, neither in front of you nor behind you. A strange feeling of emptiness spreads through you. We're going to start singing. Singing has always cheered you up, no matter how bad things are around you, and most of the time, things are awful. Which song is appropriate for your hike? A classic? Pop hits of the 90s. Rap. We're going to go classics. As an aesthete, you don't care about contemporary music. Instead, you start humming one of the real classics. You know, that one that starts very slowly, then gets faster, bit by bit, then ends up in a loud hysterical burst. What was the title again? A Night on a Naked Mountain? Yes, that must be it. You have a long, deep sigh, and once again, no one was around to witness your genius. When will people finally realize what a gifted artist walks among them, unrecognized and underpaid? An hour passes until a repeated honking of horn rips from your thoughts. You turn around and notice a car actually slowing down and stopping next to you. The red station wagon is like a mirage in the gray wasteland that has surrounded you for far, far too long. An older couple takes the trouble to get out of the car. Worried faces look at you. The driver keeps a distance. His wife approaches you. "What are you doing out here all alone, sweetheart?" The woman asks. Her hands touch your arms in a caring manner. A little human warmth. You hadn't realized just how much you needed it out here. "I'm going to Innsmouth." You answer a bit awkwardly. It feels surreal. Apparently, you're actually come across normal people. "That's where we're going." Looking for confirmation, the woman looks at her husband. George rolls his eyes. You feel like only partially welcome. Flea-infested mud that someone is picking up from the side of the road. "Yep," finally comes out. His wife gives him a punishing look. He throws his hands over his head and shuffles back to the car. His wife puts her head on your shoulder. "Get in the car with us. I'm Ellen. The grouch is my husband, George. Inside. He's a good guy. Trust me." You squeeze yourself in the remaining seat in the back of the station wagon between ice boxes and sports equipment and fumble for the safety belt. The engine revs and the car starts moving. Delighted, you notice the interior of the car is warm and cozy. The ideal ride. There are cookies and Ellen offers tea from the thermos. The journey is quick and without any further hitches. "Let me know if you need anything." Just enjoy the ride. You lean back, the landscape rushes past you, but you don't notice much of it. It's so cozy that you soon fall into a light sleep, which is only interrupted whenever your head tips forward. Make yourself a little bit more comfortable and actually manage to fall asleep. At some point, the vehicle leaves the country road and turns near a wooden sign. It says Innsmouth written in big red letters that are slowly peeling off the sign. Your journey continues along a narrow, bumpy country lane with lots of potholes. In the distance, you can already make out a few houses. Seagulls are circling the roofs of the far side of the coastal town. You approach another wooden sign with the words "Cars on Diversion" scrawled on it messily. An arrow underneath points to the right. The sign points away from the road that leads directly into Innsmouth, presumably a diversion. You're sure that the other board directly underneath words "other routes" actually points in the direction leading directly into town. Odd. George is already indicating he wants to turn into the diversion lane. We're just not going to get involved. The vehicle turns off to follow the diversion route, and even a bumpier path leads you not to the city center, but to what, with only a great deal of goodwill, would be called a parking lot. The road stops right at the entrance to the parking lot. Above the entranceway, another makeshift wood says Innsmouth Parker and Rest Area in red paint. Free. We wish you a pleasant stay. You can't help but feel disturbed. Something strikes you as odd. It's fresh red paint on the sign. The red writing on the sign must be fresh. As you get close, you can see some thin lines that have trickled down the wooden boards. You almost expect to see a young boy in dungarees with a fresh paint can sticking out of his back, fresh paint brush sticking out of the back of his pocket. Any other tourist department would have had an actually printed sign made by real designers, not this bizarre makeshift construct. You disapprove. The fresh paint could drip on a passing car. Big splotch of paint splatters onto your windshield. Ellen squeals loudly. Damn it, George grunts. He turns on the windshield wiper and the gelatinous mass spreads even more across the windshield. There seems to be sticky bits in it also. Oh, Judge. How are we going to get rid of this tree resin? That's what it is, right? Can you see anything? Yes. George leans forward and tries to squint through the red film in front of him. This parking lot seems to be popular. It is only after 10 minutes that Ellen spots a space into which the car fits. This is so stupid. I bet locals also park their cars here. George keeps grumbling. What they mean, well, it's a nice gesture, isn't it? Ellen looks at you imploringly. Yes, you agree with Ellen. George starts to go, oh, great. Elizabeth, now the two of you are conspiring against me. George touches Ellen tenderly on the arm and kisses her nose. Eventually, she starts to giggle also. All right, let's settle the finances. George suggests all business-like as soon as you step out of the car. The dust product finances. You're disgusted. One moment you were sure this nice couple taking you along out of the goodness of your heart. You deemed it a cosmic sign of your righteous mission as defender of the law. Now you realize it was stone cold profit-seeking calculation. Feels as if someone was told you yet again that Santa isn't real. Wasn't it charity and brotherly love that made this nation great? I think it's simply inhumane to demand money for something so trivial as transport. Yeah, we're gonna pay him. Fascism, flute solos, finances. Why are all the bad things have to start with the letter F? Against your will, you hand George some dollar bills. He says something and pats your shoulder. You can't make out precisely what he's saying. All you can hear in your ears is the blood boiling inside of you. With quick steps, you make your way into the town center in the direction of the coastline. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels heavier and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, leaning your briefcase against the wall and start pacing along a quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. Excuse me. As a coastal town, Innsmouth, of course, also has a harbor. During your research, you found out that this is a busy area which includes a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. The old town, according to your research, has the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel. You could decide to check it and freshen up. Just when you want to set off, your heart leaps in your throat. Where a moment ago your briefcase leaning against the wall is now nothing. Disturbed, you walk up and down the street, peering into alleyways and over a fence, but there is no one in sight. Did you actually bring your briefcase and put it down here? Or are you going mad? At least you can take comfort in the idea that the thief will be surprised by what he will find inside when he opens the briefcase. Quite a lot of pieces of paper with phone numbers and no names on it, sweets, scrunched up underwear. You think you can cope with the loss of your briefcase. Luckily, you didn't take anything actually useful or valuable on your trip. You check the alley and one last time, apart from a pair of moving curtains in one of the windows. You don't notice any clues that could lead you to the culprit. It doesn't matter now. It's important that you keep moving. There are only a few hours left until the sun goes down. Oh, we're gonna go to the city center this time. The Innsmouth Town Square, the beating heart of the city. A big attraction for local tourism, it is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. A lot less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurching about the square. A rather creepy looking fountain is in the middle of this fair. A gigantic fish-like stone statue stretches its claws towards the sky, with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. The water sprays in the air, providing a refreshing breeze to the tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Looking at it close and out, it looks rather like a giant drooling fish monster. The square is surrounded by handsome old buildings, although the side streets reveal the true Innsmouth, crumbling facades, just far enough away that the average tourist doesn't notice them immediately. You also notice the mean grimaces of gargoyles sternly looking down onto the visitors from the corners of the buildings. You make a mental note to block out the Innsmouth architecture in future. At first glance, you see the town hall and a police station behind the fountain. There should be a few more public facilities nearby, but you don't notice anything right away. You decide to, we're gonna go to the police station first. You enter the precinct to find yourself in a small foyer. Or foyer. A counter separates the visitors from the actual office of the police officers on duty. It's standard practice, observed even in a cranky little town like Innsmouth. A chilly, not particularly inviting old building with only a single narrow window in the northernmost wall. The room is bathed in yellowish light, but rather than a warming glow, it's much more like warm stick. Yellowed wallpaper is about to come loose from the walls, probably a process that has been ongoing for years. The exciting finale of which you can witness today. Almost every one of the poisonous green tiles on the floor is cracked or other small damage. A policeman is on reception desk duty. He looks at you through dull eyes. The police station gives out the same lethargic vibe that you've come to expect from Innsmouth by now. But who knows? Maybe they can help you anyway. You talk to the guard personnel. Okay, get down to the point. The life of a little girl is in danger. The wooden floorboards creak under your shoe as you approach the cop. They sound like moaning of an audience somewhere in the distance, commenting on a display of epic stupidity. The cop on duty has been watching you intently ever since you entered the room. He clears his throat before talking to you. So, you want the file of missing persons report? Yeah, that's why I'm here, he answered truthfully. You're a little startled. How does he know this? Can he read your mind? Perhaps you think to yourself, he should quit his job and make a lot of dough playing blackjack in Vegas. The cop rummages around for a notepad and pen. How'd you know that? The cop looks askance at the board with all the missing people reports, and incredibly slowly his eyes find yours again. I'm a good judge of character. Stares at you. Asks for support in the type of kiss. So, please let me know all the details. And the cop interrupts in a monotonous, bored voice. His eyes train on the notepad. Then we can start pursuing the case. So this is about Tabitha March. Thinking about it, I wonder if a missing persons report has already been filed. Could you please let me know about any news in the case? The cop frowns. Tabitha. No, I've never heard that name before. We're not going to react. You lift your hands in a soothing gesture. There's definitely a better way of spending your time than trying to pick a fight with the police station. The whole thing's probably already dealt with. I'm sure there's an explanation for everything. Cop gets out of his chair. The voice in the back of your mind tells you that it's a good thing you're separated from him by a glass window. He turns to the back office, but by that point, you've already on your way out. Something tells you you're wasting your time here. You say goodbye quickly, and under the stern watch of the cop on duty, you leave the station. As you step outside, you start wondering whether you had seen the guy's eyes blink at all. Well, oh well, not that important. You leave the police station. When the heavy door snaps shut behind you, you exhale. Without noticing, you've been holding your breath ever since turning your back towards that little wooden desk. There's something off about that cop, and it didn't take an online detective course to figure that out. Where do you go next? Let's do into the alleys. The town center is dilapidated and seems to be completely dead. None of the footpaths are maintained, and weeds have worked their way into every crevice. You notice careless dumped fast food packages, beer bottles, and other trash. Some of the narrow side streets between the houses are so crammed with bulky trash that you wouldn't be able to walk along them. Many of the houses are in poor state of repair, cracked windows, loose wooden boards hanging off the walls, and doors nailed shut. It's impossible to tell which color the houses were originally painted. You're struck by a bad stench several times, the cause of which you'd rather not investigate. As you keep walking, you get to a kind of shopping street with a number of small shops. Half of them seem to be abandoned. First shop in the corner is a snack bar. Its name, Joe's Pizza and Burger. It's printed in big letters on an individual sheet of paper. Right next to it, there's a shop for fishing gear, then a hairdresser just a few doors down. In that shop window, you can see faded photos of the trendiest haircuts that the 1970s had to offer. Behind the hairdresser, you make out a kiosk selling sweets and magazines, and also a liquor store wedged in between two empty buildings. Opposite, you find a shop whose name seems to be Zan. Judging by the window, it's a music store. The other end of the street, there's a building with the inscription Arc M A CAD S. Letters are made from neon tubes, but some appear to have burnt out. Arkham Arcades, maybe? Burnt out and never been replaced. Some of the shopkeepers will be able to tell you, more about your client. You decide which shop to enter. We're going to go to the barber shop. That won't affect me picking up the kiddo tomorrow and Thursday. Okay. As you approach a barber shop, you first wonder if it's permanently closed. What you initially thought was a reflection of light is actually dirt. Are there no hygiene inspectors in this town? You hesitate about whether or not to enter. We're going to go ahead and go in. The chime of the doorbell is the only greeting as you step through the door. The shop seems abandoned and a thick layer of dust has settled on the chairs and upright hair dryers. A line pattern adorns the wash basins and floors. Looks like some water damage that no one cared about enough to sort out. Just as you begin to wonder why the store was open at all, you hear it. A peaceful snore. It seems to come from behind the counter. We're going to look behind the counter. Careful not to lean on the dusty counter, you try to make out the source of the snoring. It's in a rather uncomfortable, twisted position. A man in his 60s is lying on the ground with his head propped up on a shelf. Has he fallen off his chair? Has he injured himself? The man opens his eyes and you quickly dart back, but you're sure that he's spotted you already. The hand slams on a counter and soon the gentleman attached to it, the hand gets up. With the embarrassment of a gentleman who has fallen asleep during a gala dinner, the shopkeeper adjusts his glasses and hair. He stares at you in disbelief. What do you want? Let's go with the missing girl. You're actually not that interested in what's happened here, so you get straight to the point. You get out the Polaroid. I'm looking for a missing girl, Tabitha Mosh. The man glances at the picture, then at you. His right eye starts twitching uncontrollably, and he hisses at you. Well, what do you want from me? Oh, jeez. It was a mistake to come here. You rush out of the barbershop and nearly slip on a few ancient cans of hairspray. Slightly irritated by the strange man's behavior, you're back on the shopping street. You're lucky he didn't follow you out. You decide which shop to enter. Let's check out Joe's. When you enter the snack bar, you're struck by the unappetizing smell of fat. Behind the encounter is a gaunt teenager who looks like he's bored out of his mind. A name tag identifies him as Chud. Chud is wearing a stained white apron splashed with fat and other substances. His face is haunted by the most gruesome acne you've ever seen. He turns to you and stares at you somewhere at a spot somewhere on the wall behind you. After a few moments of annoyed silence, Chud said, "What you want, order? Yo, fox." Look at the menu. The menu is pathetic. Only pizza margarita, pizza with seafood, fish burger, cheeseburger, and freedom fries are on offer. There's only limited drink. An unattached note informs you that you can now also order vegetarian burger and vegetarian cheeseburger. Chud changes from bored to annoyed. You gonna order something or not, sir? Let's order a cheeseburger. You order a cheeseburger with french fries and a lemonade. They're called freedom fries now, Chud tells you. We no longer call them french fries because the French don't want to go to war with terrorists that bombed that World Trade Center. He turns to the girl and starts processing your order. Man, I wish I could join the army and shoot with a gun. How are you today, Fox? He seems to be talking to the barbecue rather than to you. Mentioned that the Iraq War ended a while ago. Really? Seems mildly surprised. We won, haven't we? Must be, otherwise we'd still be speaking foreign. Must have missed that. Good, we showed those guys that we won't let them get away with doing whatever they want to do to us and stuff. I'd have loved to have been there, but my dad says I shouldn't worry about the army and stuff. Dad says it's none of our business over here. Glad to hear it, sir. You flip some indefinable lumps of meat over the grill. Pow, 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 shooting around, that would be amazing. It's not the same as playing the shooter in the arcades. God seems to be talking primarily to himself. You sit down at the counter. That'll be $4. He serves you your can of soda and your food. On it is the saddest burger you've ever seen. Then a lump of mystery meat and a layer of sliced cheese. No sauce, no salad, nothing. Get your better judgment, you begin to eat. First, the fries. You hadn't thought it was possible to make disgusting fries. Now you know better. They just taste of fat and salt. After only a short time in the fryer, they're still completely cold and sort of floppy. In your mouth, they feel like the white-yellow maggots squirming on your tongue. That's appealing. Skeptically, you bite into the burger. It's a fish patty. After 2 bites, you put the burger aside. You try to flesh out a taste of lemonade, but the drink is warm and stale. You decide to take away the rest of your food for later consumption, or maybe the toxicology department will want to know details about how exactly it was that made you visit the emergency room that day. Yeah, right? I am no longer hungry. After a few moments of noise, I said, anything else? We're gonna ask about the missing girl. School kids ever come by you? Chud is obviously not interested in the conversation. That's a really strange question, mister. Do you know this girl? You're holding up a photo of Tabitha up to Chud. She's gone missing and I'm looking for her. He looks at the picture with indifference. Are you going to order or not? We're just gonna leave the snack bar. You leave Joe's Pizza and Burger. Your stomach signals to you that your actions will have consequences. You need to decide which shop to enter. Let's go to the arcades. The game Arcades is hard to miss. At the end of the dead shopping street, a shrill neon sign draws attention to itself. You think it looks rather retro, although some of the people of Innsmouth will probably think it's state-of-the-art design. As you approach, familiar sounds start ringing in your ear. A heady mix of cheaply produced gun sounds, sound effects, and mysterious sound from pinball machines. The cocktail of synth effects gives you a jolt of nostalgia. Happy memories flood your brain. Your first beat 'em up game when your opponent, a super limber septuagenarian yoga dude who played the boxer, ripped you apart, and all those exciting moments when you managed to win. A few tourist families who have ventured in the city center with you were all dragged in here by their excited children. Now you two pass through the gates to the realm of flashing lights and bad ventilation. It's extremely dark, and screens of the devices appear to only be the light source. Families, slackers, groups of teenagers, and individual children crowd together in front of the screens to catch glimpses of games that are currently being played or have a shot at playing themselves. The arcade is smaller than the elaborate archway initially suggested, but the equipment is not so bad for a small coastal town. Everything is beeping and flashing. One of the most important lessons you have learned, and not from your own cases, but from television, is to look for the small things. Only an absolute beginner could ignore the slot machines and look for a missing girl straight away. You, on the other hand, are playing the long game. Maybe you'll see her name token on one of the high score tables. Maybe you'll be able to improve your own reflexes, toughen yourself, and steel your nerves by playing a few rounds. A little girl is missing, but you'd rather play a round of computer games. Don't worry, no one will ever find out. How often will you return to Innsmouth? You ask yourself. The answer is, of course, hopefully never again. So you might as well make the most of it, and try to leave a new high scores for posterity you're interested in. We're just going none of those. Ridiculous. Even an ancient C64 has more exciting games on offer than this arcade. After you've reassured yourself that all the machines in this place are not worth your time, you decide to focus on your mission again. We're going to look for the little girl. You give the search for Tabitha another go, but given the bad lighting in here, even if the girl was standing in a mere 2 yards away from you, there's no way you would recognize her. After walking around the machines for a couple of times, you give up on finding her in the arcade. You leave the arcades on wobbly legs. After all the flashy colors, incessant beeping, and shooting sounds, you welcome the dullness of the shopping street. The evening has already begun. If you really wasted the whole afternoon here, it's unfortunate, but a good investigator knows when to admit defeat. After all, you're paid in advance. It's time to go to the hotel. Darkness has befallen Innsmouth. Old-fashioned gaslights illuminated a few patches along the dark alleyways, but generally it doesn't look as if the town planners were too fussed with providing adequate lighting. Some streets are completely plunged in the darkness. You struggle more and more to find your way around. Was this awful gargoyle already here earlier in the afternoon, or are you in the wrong part of town altogether? When you're almost about to give up your search for the Gilman Hotel and resigned to finding a cozy spot somewhere on the curb, you see it, the outline of the hotel roof. Luckily, the hotel is set apart clearly from the mishap in nearby tenements. Gilman Hotel is an architectural masterpiece, although right now in the dark you can't make out many of its stylistic features. The hotel majestically rises 4 stories above the rickety house that surrounded it. A sea of leaves glints into the light of the moon. Must be ivy. An empty parking lot makes you think that the hotel must still have some rooms available. You felt like you've been followed for a long time. The growing paranoia and constant glancing over your shoulder. You'll be able to forget all this very soon. You follow the path leading up to the entrance and come to a standstill in front of a massive oak door. Your hand touches the cold metal handle. You press it down and pull, but to your surprise, the door doesn't open. The hotel seems shut. Ring the doorbell. Surely it would be possible to wake up the concierge, the lobby boy, or an underpaid intern. Under a polished brass sign reads, Best Hotels Competition, 1928, first round competitor. You find the doorbell. You press down on the button for a second, and then again for longer, and once more for good luck. Wherever this doorbell is ringing, you can't hear it chime out here. You press the button a few more times. By now, some angry person should be here to threaten you with physical violence. Going to the hotel is making it very difficult for you to spend your money. You're gonna knock on the door. They've asked for this, hoping to wake up one of the hotel guests. You pound your fist against the door. Apart from a bit of dust falling off the door frame, your efforts are in vain. You only produce muffled sounds, and you doubt that anyone inside will hear them. It's hard to believe, but the architecture of the hotel seems to be of very high quality. You begin to wonder why anyone would waste their exquisite workmanship in a place like Innsmouth. Forlorn, You stand in front of the hotel. We're going to keep looking for another way in. You walk around the property. Metal bars in front of the windows, making it possible to simply climb inside. But you had at least hoped to find a lit window which you could knock on to make yourself known to someone inside. They wouldn't even let you give one of the night shift staff a good scare. All the rooms inside the hotel seem to be in complete darkness, including the foyer. No one is working. No one is having a drink at the hotel bar. The whole building seems to be completely shut down. Keep walking around the hotel. You walk around the whole hotel, still hoping to find a lit window somewhere. No such luck. Soon you're back at the entrance. It's hard to believe that such a thing is possible these days, but the hotel really seems to be closed. No one's allowed in and out for that matter. Do the guests know that they're locked in the building overnight? Will there be another formless tourist in an hour or two trying to get in just like you are now? Not actually your problem, you remind yourself. Turn around and leave the hotel behind you and walk back down the street. You wander the streets, the dark clouds spread out from the sea like claws that ominously reach for the town. Reach for you. The sun has set and the temperature is dropping fast. The air, too, gets cooler and a rougher wind whips through the alleys. You're lost. You have no idea how to get out of this godforsaken town. And as if it weren't bad enough, you also underestimated the September weather on the coast. And the really cold temperature is still yet to come. Scattered raindrops do not bode well. You aimlessly wander the streets. The narrow alleys are a labyrinth of simple wooden fishermen's huts. At least you're not completely on your own. Look at that. Even at this late hour, there are groups of people patrolling with torches and pitchforks and knives and nets. Stay in the shadow and observe. It's not necessarily the knives and nets that make you worried. It's the limp that many of the villagers have, which makes you nervous. The people don't walk, they waddle, stagger, stumble, and shuffle with their upper bodies lifted up by like malicious trolls in a fantasy film. You found a refuge behind some old barrels in a narrow side street. You'd love to simply huddle up there, but in the middle of the alley, you are without protection against the rain. Pitchforked mob still hasn't noticed you. You wonder what to do next. Knock on a door and ask for help. Maybe not all the people here are cranky, cold-hearted hicks. Maybe someone will let you spend the night in their house if you just ask politely. Maybe pigs can fly. The opposite has never been proven. Anyway, the idea of spending the night in the warmth and leaving Innsmouth early tomorrow morning fills you with new hope. Your hand glides over your wrinkled trench coat. Thank you, Fox. Which really needs to be ironed. You're a freelance. You've had enough experience with looking pitiful. Got a good feeling about this. Since all wooden huts look similarly run down, you simply knock on the next best door in order to escape the rain. The pattern of the ever-increasing rain is the only thing you can hear. No steps, no metallic clicking of keys, and no good Samaritan to let you into their house at this dark hour. No one seems to be in. Try another door. There's another just over there. Again, you try your luck and knock 3 times quickly. Again, no one lets you in. The difference is, this time you hear the rustling sounds of curtains in the window next to the door. The curtain sways slightly back and forth until it comes to a rest. Try to provoke a reaction. Leaning your arms against the wooden planks, you try to take a look inside, but it's too dark to see anything. This is exactly the kind of cowardly attitude that has led to this town into poverty and ruin. You hiss at the curtains because somebody must be listening. Good deeds are what separates everyday heroes from common peasants. Good deeds like giving shelter to poor private detectives on rainy nights. You can't be sure what the occupants of this house has heard even one word of what you said. Still, you feel a little better now. A creaking sound behind you makes you freeze. The door right behind you, an old woman is peering out of the house in front of which you were shouting. She cracked open the front and examines you through brown spectacles. She reminds you of an insect. Her voice is rough as sandpaper. What do you want? I need a place to stay for the night, you say honestly. She licks her lips.
Was it you who just ranting out here?
So she did hear you. Yeah, I guess that was me, answered truthfully. It's a very urgent call. The woman looks you up and down, you feel assessed and judged. Then a rattling cough, and judging by the raised corner of her mouth, she may be laughing.
Well, at least you're honest, kid.
She opens the door a little wider and waves you in.
Okay.
Gratefully, you step into the apartment. You try to make out details on the inside of the dark old house. Candles are lined up on the shelves and small side tables. A lot of them are almost burned down. At least they keep you from running into the furniture. The old woman is probably blind, and that's why she doesn't need lighting in her own home. Only with a lot of effort can make out the contours of narrow doors that line the walls of the room. Whoever is responsible for the design of this hut has obviously tried to squeeze as much as possible into the very limited space.
I have a guest bed available. You can have it if you help me with the gardening, sweetie.
Yeah, I'll agree. Sure, I can help with the garden. The woman is at least 100 years old. You assume the only thing she needs help with is picking up some daisies from the grass. She clasps her hands.
Perfect. Let's get straight down to work. And afterwards, Ethel will make you some hot tea.
So the name's Ethel. The lively old woman immediately scurries through one of the narrow doors and hastily waves you to follow her. A smile creeps onto your face. Got a good feeling about this. Try not to knock anything over. You can make your way through the darkness. This place seems less like a house and more like an art installation. You walk through another room that doesn't even have candles, but a faint source of light leads you further. As you cross the room, you almost trip over a bag lying on the floor. This must be the storage room where the old lady keeps her potato sacks. The bag makes a squeaky sound. Or harvest, evidently. We're gonna walk. I'm not gonna walk into the car. You push the door open a little further and step into a small, dilapidated veranda. It appears that every single one of the small houses' residential area has its own back garden, which is shielded from neighbors by high wooden fences. Ethel's garden is well protected from any prying looks. It's also very small. Only a medium-sized paddling pool would have room here in the summer, but the old woman seems to have her own plans regarding the use of her small garden. Before you graced her with your presence, she was in the process of digging an elongated pit. Given the rain and the hard ground, this could not have been an easy task. She hasn't made a lot of progress. There's a shovel in the heap of earth that is piled up next to the pit. A light brown bag with many stains lies on the other side of the pit in the damp grass. The pit could have been dug a butt deeper for the bag to fit through it.
So,
Ethel claps her hands. You freeze. You hadn't noticed her coming up next to you.
It needs to be buried before it starts to stink.
Your hands grab the shaft of the shovel, but then something catches your attention. It's the linen bag. Its contents twists and turn with alarming regularity. What's in the bag, you ask? Even if you ask the question, you doubt whether you like the answer.
Well, if you really want to know, sweetie.
Ethel leans against the pillar of her porch. Your question seems to amuse her.
It's a bunch of rabbit ferrets. They came and dug up almost half the garden. Most of them I shot to Kingdom Come.
The old woman pretends to aim with the rifle.
But I must not have killed all of them right dead.
The twitching from the linen cloth still has your full attention. It is regular, almost hypnotizing, like a lava lamp.
Chop, chop.
You grab your shovel and get ready to get to work in the small ditch that has already been dug.
Chop, chop.
The faster you dig the ominous pit for the suspicious bag, the sooner you'll be able to sleep. Hopefully without ferret-filled nightmares.
Toot, toot.
Ethel does a gesture of a train driver. How nice. Pensioners of such a sunny disposition are rare. The earth is softer than you had anticipated. Instead of rock hard ground, you dig up soft earth. and quite a few bones. And some dental braces. Bit by bit, you dig the pit further, and soon you produce a huge pile of earth which is full of bones. Ethel seems very pleased with their work. Before you know it, the old woman is sitting at your side, digging you in the ribs with her elbow.
Well, that was a piece of cake for a young person like you, wasn't it, sweetie?
She claps her hands and leads you to the bag, which is now writhing as if possessed by the devil.
Go on. Bag in. Bit of dirt on top. The end.
A skinny hand pats her in the back.
I'll put on the kettle.
Heather returns to her house and leaves you alone with the dog Ditch, the twitching linen bag, and many questions. Yeah. You get down to business. Look in the bag. Now that the old woman's gone, you can risk a peek. What is moving in there inside the bag? Is it human? A drug person desperately trying to get attention, or are they actually rabid ferrets? The moment of truth, you sink down into the wet grass. The knot is loose enough that you can undo it quickly. Your heart beats loudly in your chest as you open the bag and try to make out the details in the dark. It's ferrets. One ferret jumps right in your face and bites your nose. In order to hold on to you, the animal rams its sharp claws into your skin. Your neck and cheeks burn like fire, but they are only a small note of the grand concerto of pain that's playing out in your body. Still in shock, you notice that another ferret has taken the chance to escape and is now crawling up your head in a spiral. You can feel tiny but effective teeth sinking into your scalp. In blind panic, you feel more and more little creatures crawling your body, and over their little teeth and claws are penetrating every patch of skin. She was right. The fortune teller at the fun fair was right. As a small child of only 11, you did not know what to do with the terrible prophecy you're given. Death by ferrets. You always thought it was a metaphor for something. Now you have to admit that the woman with the colorful turban had expressed herself surprisingly clearly. And if you attempt to escape, you stumble over a dead ferret. The weird angle at which you fall worries you, but the countless ferrets that have bitten into your body prevent you from taking any corrective measures. You gotta tilt something sharp and everything goes black. Death by ferret. You got torn to shreds. Life is like a sack of ferrets. Well then, I think that is it for this episode, and we'll see everybody on the next one.
Hey everybody, Todd56 here signing off. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to see more, click the videos that are listed or hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications in order to be notified when I've got more posted. Until then, as always, be good, be kind, be safe. See you next time.